listeners, the great state of Idaho. That's what we're going to talk about and explore. It's a great state. It's home of many great things. The deepest canyon in America, the Niagara Falls, west of the Mississippi. Great things to enjoy, especially if you're a group. It's a great place to visit. And I have a special guest today who's going to share a lot of things about what you can do and where to go. And that is my friend, Nancy Richardson, in charge of group travel and tourism with the great state of Idaho. Nancy Richardson, welcome to the show.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Nancy, you have got so many things that are unique and wonderful. There's so much to see and do, isn't there?
There really is. We are an uncharted territory for most folks.
Well, you know, I think uncharted territory is unexplored for a lot of folks. You really get that feeling because it's so beautiful. It's hard to describe. But let's do this. Let's talk about some of the great places to see and do in Idaho and talk about some of the important things that you feel that need to be discussed when we're talking about travel and tourism. Some of the top events I like is that Hemingway Festival that happens every year in Sun Valley.
Yes, the Hemingway Festival is one that's designed for academics of Hemingway. So it's not a festival like Trailing of the Sheep would be, which is in the same community a little bit earlier in the fall. Trailing of the Sheep is where they actually run the sheep through the main street, which is a U.S. highway of Ketchum, and then all sorts of activities are surrounding that. But the Hemingway Festival is something that you need to apply to attend, and it is a wonderful experience for those folks who really want to dig deeper into Hemingway's writing, into his lifestyle. The library at Ketchum has some of his personal effects, his glasses, a typewriter, all of the documents that he requested from the FBI when they were investigating him for communism, and the home in which Hemingway took his own life is also in Ketchum, and that is accessed for those attendees at the festival. And anyone who's visiting Ketchum can visit the library and the Hemingway room at the library and his gravesite. There is a Hemingway tour that's given by a couple who lives in Ketchum. There's the Hemingway suite at the Sun Valley Lodge where he finished For Whom the Bell Tolls, and all sorts of great haunts that he went to, like the Pioneer Club and the Casino Bar and Christiana's, where he ate his last meal.
That's kind of amazing, the last place that he did decide to stay at Sun Valley. Another place that I think we need to talk about for an event, an annual event that's very, very popular, is the Dogwood Festival in Lewiston, the former capital of the state of Idaho.
Yes, for a brief period of time, Lewiston was the capital of Idaho, and then the Dogwood Festival is a wonderful festival. It's a great time of year to go because it's in the spring. Spring is really lovely out there. At times that other destinations may seem still a little too chilly to do outside activities, Lewiston is going to be a great spot for your groups.
Another spot that we need to talk about, and I mentioned it before, listeners, is Sun Valley. Quite a story behind that with Everett Harriman wanting to find a place for a ski resort.
He built a railroad line to Ketchum.
Oh, wow.
Specifically to get people to his ski resort.
Well, the rest of the story there, listeners, and this is something I did not know, is that the first ski lift was right there in Sun Valley.
It wasn't built in Sun Valley, but it was installed in Sun Valley.
There you go.
Commissioned by the resort to be built, and you know what inspired them?
No.
Watching bananas being hauled off of a cargo freighter.
I've got a motto that I like to leave with you. I think this is a great motto, and that is, have skis, will travel. And that's the state of Idaho.
There are 18 ski resorts in our state. Most people think about Colorado or Utah for a ski destination, but I'm telling you what, there are no lines in Idaho. You will ski more hours in Idaho in a single day than any other state.
Well, we talked about Sun Valley and, of course, the beautiful, majestic Sawtooth Mountains, but also you have the deepest canyon in the continental United States.
Yes, we do. Deeper than the Grand Canyon. It's a wide canyon that was carved out through the glacial floodwaters. It's a beautiful wild area. The entire span of Hell's Canyon is national recreation area, both on the Idaho side and the Oregon side. That is our border, the Snake River. And if you haven't jet boated on the Snake River in the deepest part of Hell's Canyon, look online. GMA just did a piece on us yesterday morning, and that'll give you a taste of what Hell's Canyon looks like.
We are talking, listeners, with my friend Nancy Richardson, who's our correspondent for the Gem State, Idaho. And Nancy, I think you and I need to make sure our listeners know the best way to get in touch with you to get all kinds of information is to go to that great website of yours.
Visit idaho.org. It really is a fantastic resource with activity tiles and blogs that help people feed their imagination and gather inspiration to come visit.
And that's the website I recommend listeners should go to really help you. Let's talk about some of the other areas. You've got the Idaho Panhandle, you've got Sandpoint. My favorite town was Coeur d'Alene, and of course, Boise, and then the Yellowstone and the Teton Territory.
Yes, 1% of Yellowstone National Park lies within Idaho. So that's why we call it Yellowstone Teton area. The peaks of the Tetons are in Wyoming, but they grow out of the Idaho farmland of eastern Idaho. Idaho is a great tie with Yellowstone. Number one, we have craters of the moon, which used to be the hot spot until it got so hot it just blew up. And now it looks like the lava fields that you would see in Hawaii. We do have in Idaho the most hot springs of any state in the nation. And it's all about that Yellowstone geothermal activity that's going on. It's all tied together under the Earth's surface by a big caldera.
That's truly amazing, Nancy. And you're mentioning, of course, the Craters of the Moon National Monument. When you see that, you're thinking about the Oregon Trail.
That's right, on a wagon with no shock absorbers.
Oh.
Now is a real treat for people because, of course, we have pathways, and we ask people to stay on the pathways to preserve the integrity of the lava flows. But Craters of the Moon, you might not know, is also an international dark sky park, the highest level of dark sky designation you can get. So there is a little bit of camping, and there are very few hotels in the area.
Well, again, I want to mention Boise is a not to be missed great town and the surrounding area. Lots of things to see and do there. And of course, the North Idaho Panhandle, quite a rivalry there between the two universities. When it's between the two of those, there's civil war in the state of Idaho, believe me.
That's right. So we have the Boise State University Broncos in Boise and the University of Idaho Vandals up in Moscow. And the great thing is that we agree Idaho has some of the best microbreweries in the nation. Beautiful mountain water. So you can't find a bad brew at any one of the 75 microbreweries throughout the state.
Well, we have to say, Nancy, it's been such a great visit. I think we best let our listeners know that all of this information, plus lots of group ideas, are available, again, on that great website of yours.
Yes, visit idaho.org. At the bottom of the front page, you can click on our newsletter and subscribe to receive a monthly newsletter that tells you Boise was the fastest growing city in the United States of America last year. Find out what that secret's all about by subscribing to our newsletter at visitidaho.org.
Well, Nancy, my listeners have asked me, and I got to ask this question of you, what kind of group services do you offer for groups coming to visit Idaho?
You get the #1 Idaho gem, our nickname being the Gem State.
Yes.
Me. I take your calls, I take your emails, and I just lay your answers in your lap. So it doesn't matter what kind of services you're looking for. I used to manage a bus company. I know where buses can go, where they can't go. I know how many how many people restaurants occupy or handle in your group tours. I have led tours throughout the state. I can problem solve and look ahead for you to make your travel as smooth as possible as you come through Idaho.
Truly an expert listener, and we are so blessed to have Nancy on the show today. But this is something that they pride themselves on, to give you the information that you need to go to the great gem state of Idaho.
And not only will you get a personal experience as the tour planner and coordinator, you will get a personal experience wherever you go within our state. The two things that people always tell me is, my gosh, how friendly people are. My gosh, how clean your state is. And my gosh, you weren't kidding. I should have planned to spend more days in your beautiful state.
Richardson, it's so great to talk with you. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.